Do y'all have an official release date for Doc Connor yet?
We don't have an official release date. What I will say is, in the nature of independent filmmaking, we have to be pretty far along before we can introduce the film to theaters. It becomes a little bit, for independent movie, for a Hollywood feature, they can kind of go to a theater and say, we're going to make a Christmas movie with The Rock. And the theaters are going to be like, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Fine by us.
When you want to put it out. For independent films, it's like we gotta have a pretty polished product before we bring it to them, in order to really secure a prime like release date. I will say again, it feels like we could pick any weekend we wanted because there's so few family films coming out, that even we originally, so our original release date idea was we wanted to pitch Doc Connor against Snow White, that's coming out in March.
Yeah.
Because we thought that would be a really good, I think everybody knows what they're going to get with Snow White. Snow White's dead before it's even arrived. And so I thought it would be a great marketing angle to go, hey, you already know what you're going to get with Snow White. You weren't going anyway, but go to the movies that weekend and support a Christian film, just to really stick it to them,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We need a little bit more time to get to a theatrical presentation version of the movie, which is probably works in our favor, to be honest, because March is a little bit of a iffy time for a family film because summer is obviously highlight. And our film, one of the storylines in our film is that our lead character, Dot, is starting her first week of high school. So we actually think it'll play better to get closer to the end of summer, because a lot of people will have start of school in their minds. And so we think the storyline will play better then anyway. So that's kind of, I would say if we were trying to target something to be late July, August timeframe, theaters are going to determine that. We'll probably, because we're an independent film, what'll happen is, what'll most likely happen is we'll get a limited release for like a weekend or a week, in the select number of theaters, which you're hoping will be high. And then if the movie plays well, it will continue on. It will get more screens at that point. And so that's typically how independent releases work. And so once we nail that down with the distribution a partnership that we create, we will we'll try to drive a ton of business towards that opening weekend just to get people to and again, I think the movie will speak for itself. I think when people see what we've done, and it's fun and it's funny, it's got surprises in it. And so, and like I said, it's something that it really isn't out there anywhere for anybody. So it'll be just so unique. I think that'll sort of drive some of the interest by itself.
Yeah. So are you independently producing it, or are you partnering up with? Because I know there's companies like I think it's Solideo Gloria, producing. That'll help get films into that. Or are you like, we've already gone independent here, let's take it the whole way, and in a way kind of create a statement that, hey, if you want to do this independent, it's hard, but it's possible.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to that. Our first and foremost approach is finding partner. So SVG is a great example. We've had conversations with them. They love the property. So that could be a possibility. We have a connection to Fathom Events, which is now Fathom Entertainment, which has really become successful through quite a bit of Christian independent releases. And they work with all three of the major chains, theater chains here in the United States. And then there's a handful of others that we definitely have had conversations with and would consider. And then ultimately, you're right. I mean, there's a version of this where we just do it ourselves.
Yeah.
We've done that up to this point. So,
yeah.
But, I walk into the office of, whatever theater chain and plop the movie down on the desk. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. But, we'll kind of see, what direction makes the most sense. Again, I'm trying to look at it from I want this to do several things. First and foremost, now this is kind of the biggest, hope is that we finally give a large audience something they've wanted. trustworthy entertainment for kids, for families that want that kind of thing. So that's what I first and foremost hope happens, is that all of those families find it and it meets exactly what they've been looking for. I hope too that what this movie does, and it could be, even if we still work with a distribution company or if we ended up going all the way ourselves, is promoting the idea to current and new filmmakers, independent Christian filmmakers, that the industry is being remade, and the what has been true for so long, or things that they have been told has been true for so long, a lot of it actually isn't applicable anymore, and that some of what's been done has been created to sort of gatekeep new people from even getting into it. And so I'm kind of hoping that we can be a part of that. I don't know if it'd be, pretty arrogant to say that our film is going to be the one that does it, but I think it's our film along with others that are going to basically say, hey, it shouldn't cost you millions upon millions of dollars to make a good movie, because technology should be bringing the cost of movies down. Good movies, because ultimately a good movie is because of a good story, but the way that you capture it should be getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper because of technology. It shouldn't be taking millions upon millions of dollars to have a truckload of equipment just sitting off to the side. But you're being told you have to have that, right? Because that's what all the big boys do.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that we can be a part of that of changing that conversation from, well, you can't get the money to make the kind of movie, the kind of adventure movies that we want from Hollywood, so don't even try, to, no, you actually can do it, and everybody should do it, and we should stop waiting around for them to for them to open the door to their club. And here will be here's the pull quote for you to get people to watch this. Who wants to be a part of their club anyway, when they're a bunch of degenerates who abuse children? So
yeah,
I don't need their awards.
There's the
I don't
intro.
need their late night shows. I don't need, I just don't want it. You know, I want to make my own thing. I love having a conversation with Elijah and encouraging Elijah to carve a new path as well in terms of his filmmaking or whatever he seeks to do. I prefer that than getting the invitation to go on some late night show to talk to some guy that, I should probably be careful about what I accuse late night show hosts of doing.
Stephen Colbert is just, Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Fallon are just boring in general now. So who would want to go on there?
Yeah. So anyway,